going on, guys? Hope you're having a good day. It is hot, so stay safe out there if you're in the heat. What's old Don B doing? Well, Don B's been working on the car, been detailing the car. Pretty day to do stuff like that, and been doing this here. So guys, if you have faded headlights, this stuff works real good. It's cheap. It's at Walmart, and it'll put a shine on your headlights if they're dim, yellow or whatever. This stuff works real good. I wonder if it'd work on my head. Anyway, someone had a great question in my comments. They were asking about satellite images, and basically, if it's not really a simple thing to do for law enforcement to use satellites to monitor stuff. Believe it or not, there's probably a backlog of missions for the satellites right now. I mean, they're all probably just, they're taken, and it's like first come, first serve, probably, or depending on the the emergency need of the satellite, you know what I mean? Whether there's a threat, domestic or foreign, whatever. Probably domestic, that would be a domestic satellite. Most of them things are used for like border patrol, drug activity, major drug activity, stuff like that. Just, and they would have had to known June 15th was going to happen anyway. So basically how these satellites work, you've got a couple of satellites. You've got weather satellites, you've got communication satellites, like for HughesNet, DirecTV, Dish Network, Dish, and then you got your surveillance satellites. But the surveillance satellites, guys, they're mainly used for missions that they know in advance what they're going to be doing with these satellites. They know where to position. They know where they're going to be positioned because, they may have gotten a tip off about drug cartel, possible border incidents, stuff like that. So these satellites, the surveillance satellites, it's just not as easy as law enforcement going, and they weren't more, and I'll 99% bet there were no surveillance satellites over 110 Ben Hill Road on June 15th. Most of them are stationed probably over New York, Mexico, California, the borders, Florida, a lot of activity in Florida at the ports. Basically anywhere there's major ports, there's going to be a surveillance satellite stationed right there. But it's, just for law enforcement to, they would have had to have known June 15th was going to happen, and basically, get, see if they could get, first of all, get access to it, because like I said, most of them are tied up with other missions, and unless it's a, more or less, if it's an emergency need, you're gonna have to wait to get access to it, more likely. Not unless, some. I doubt Hawkins County or Knoxville, or I doubt any of these regional police agencies have the funding to have their own satellite up there. You know what I mean? So I hope that answers your question on why there's no satellite images on June 15th of what happened at 110 Ben Hill Road. The weather satellites, they don't zoom in like the surveillance satellites do. They don't have that capability. Now we got weather satellites like NOAA NOAA does have the ability to zoom in, but there again, their focus is on the weather, not crime. And unless something was going on June 15th, like tornadoes or wildfires or anything like that, because that's normally what NOAA uses their satellites for. That you can get a high resolution image of. I'm sure NOAA has satellite images of Hawaii. Let's see, they probably had satellite images of the wildfire in the Smoky Mountains. Anytime, like I said, anytime there's wildfires, severe droughts, where they can, take pictures and like compare it to, like if there's a severe drought, they can compare a picture now to a picture 90 days ago and go, God, man, water levels are really dropping in this reservoir, and this reservoir is used for drinking water for like 1 million people down here. That's what these things are for. Not, when you're talking about the weather satellites, you're not talking about using them to investigate crimes or anything like that. And a lot of those are pre-positioned too. Like there's probably, I don't know what's going on right now weather related, but there may still be one up above Hawaii. I think there may be a wildfire in Canada right now, so NOAA could be helping them out with some imagery there. But for someone to go missing, there's so many people go missing every day. I mean, it's just not feasible to have a satellite monitor everything like that, So, I hope that answers your question. Yes, the technology is out there, and yes, you could have put a surveillance satellite over 110 Ben Hill Road on June 15th, but you would have had to been a psychic. You would have had to have been able to tell the future. You would have, and none of that. I mean, I don't think anybody knew what was going to go down on June 15th except for maybe 2 or 3 people. 3 people at the most, you know what I mean? In my opinion, at the most, 3 people knew what was going to go down June 15th. And again, that's why law enforcement's having a hard time, solving the case, because in my opinion, it was well planned and maybe well executed. I mean, they're having trouble finding her, so. But like I said, there's always there's always something unexpected that happens. Always expect the unexpected. And a lot of times in criminal cases, the unexpected is what gives the police their break and gets them started down the path of seeking justice for people who these crimes are committed against. So anyway, I hope that sums it up. So if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments. But no, I don't think it was as easy as just putting a satellite over 110 Ben Hill Road, or there was a satellite over 110 Ben Hill Road, but it was probably the entire United States, and it does sections. The satellite does sections. There's actually a bunch of weather satellites. There's GOES, and you probably don't know this stuff, but there's tons of weather satellites up there, and there are probably some stationed over the eastern part of the United States, the middle part, and the western part, in Hawaii. But they're used for different things. I mean, they're used for color imagery, water vapor, you know, it's stuff like that. They don't have the ability, these don't, of zooming in, you know what I mean? They just, you know, analyze the cloud data, the moisture in the air, the winds, and all that stuff. So that's all they do. No, so that's not going to help at all. You know, 110 Ben Hill Road, a weather satellite. No. So, because I'm telling you, if law enforcement had access to that, they would have already. Yeah, I think they'd have been some arrests by now. Put it that way. You know what I mean? Because if you had a surveillance satellite over that area right there, you could easily see people going around the driveway to the house, right? You could see, now Ben Hill Road, I think, is pretty much covered up with trees. You wouldn't be able to see that. But you could definitely see people going maybe up and down Beach Creek. Thing is, there's so much coverage, foliage. You know, in June, everything was in full bloom, and you know, you could barely see, you know, like going up Beach Creek. If you were to look at a summertime aerial shot at Beach Creek, you probably can't even see Ben Hill Road, most of it, for the trees. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Man, I could go in, man, this technology stuff, I could really do a deep dive into it. But short answer is no. No surveillance satellites on June 15th over 110 Ben Hill Road. Out of the question. So, but that was a great question for those who don't know anything about satellites and stuff like that. So I hope that helps, and I'm gonna get back to washing the car. So, and again, I wonder if this works good for my head. So I'll see y'all in the next video.